Behind the Tab is a GoTab produced podcast that dives into the evolving world of hospitality through the lens of technology, creativity, and community. Each episode spotlights the game-changing innovations, real-world operator stories, and GoTab's own team members who are redefining what it means to serve and scale in modern food and beverage. Today, we are talking expansion, franchising, guest experience, and of course, a little bit of pickleball with Joe De La Torre of Crushyard, who just opened their third location in Nashville, Tennessee, with plans to open 2 additional locations before year's end. Let's hear Joe's thoughts on the lessons learned and growing excitement for what the future will bring. All right, welcome back to Behind the Tab. Of course, GoTab produced podcast all about hospitality. I am very, very happy and lucky to be joined today by an ever-expanding operation. And that's the crux of the whole episode today, talking about expansion, talking about growth. And luckily I get to do it with Joe De La Torre of Crushyard, official title general manager. But man, like as most people know, operating in multiple locations, and what you just kind of informed me before we started recording, Joe, you wear a lot of hats for a lot of locations. As we get into it, of course, we're going to talk a lot about your newest location that you're operating in, based out of Nashville. This will be the 3rd location for Crushyard, and surely not the last. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much. Why don't we start off by either correcting anything I just said about you and expanding on who you are, what Crushyard is, a very brief history lesson for those looking forward, and we'll get into the future a little bit later on.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me here, Adam. It's cool to be on the podcast with you. But yeah, so Crushyard, my role is just like you explained it, general manager, helping out with different locations wherever I can. We're growing at a rate that is so exciting. Right now, this would be our 3rd location, and hopefully by the end of this year we'll have 5. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to that. And what's cool about this location too, from all the learnings we've had from our previous 2, this is the one where we feel like we've really cracked the formula, right? We opened up in 2023 in Charleston, from an idea of our CEO walked into a pickleball facility, saw their food, and was like, I could do this so much better. That's pretty much how this all came into place, and that's what opened up in 2023, Crushyard Charleston. Shortly after that, we had Orlando, which opened up at the top half of 2025. And what's funny is we've had the lease on our Nashville location since before we opened Charleston, so we always knew this was going to be a spot that we wanted to be in. And so we're just so excited for this project because, like I said, all the mistakes, all the learnings are going into this final build right here, or this build out.
Yeah, and of course, this is your 3rd build out. I'm sure you've not only learned lessons from building out Orlando, but you've learned even more lessons moving forward for locations 4 and 5 and beyond.
Absolutely.
Nashville. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I would love to, let's just jump right into that, because I think that's the most important takeaway that I think most of our listeners will be able to get from this is, as you're expanding, as you're building out new locations, give me, top 2 things you learned from Orlando that you were able to implement at Nashville, and then 2 or 3 things you learned from your Nashville build out that you hope will be able to make up locations 4 or 5 and beyond that much smoother.
Yeah, I mean, what's really important in like our business is we thought everything was going to be destination based. So like, you could have it, get cheaper real estate, have it outside the city a little bit, and people are just going to come and drive out. But what we learned is like what's more beneficial for revenue and the business as a whole is going in these old big box stores, going in these plazas that already have the foot traffic. So that you're not spending as much marketing dollars per person that is in the building. So that was the big takeaway, or the big learning from, store 1 to store 2. And then we lock down for store number 3. And that's kind of what we're hoping to do for our future locations from here on out, is find a big box store, find a place that has good foot traffic, and then build from there.
We kind of, I told you I was going to add this in somehow naturally as we were, before we started recording, and I'm going to do it right here. You talk a lot about retrofitting big box stores into pickleball facilities. And as anybody who has followed this space in the last 5 years knows, pickleball is a ginormous entity in both sports facilities and then also in entertainment space, which is where Crushyard fits a little bit more cleanly. When do you think that you're going to start looking to take over existing pickleball locations that maybe just didn't work out the way that the previous operators thought they would? Maybe they made decisions in a direction that didn't fit well with not only the neighborhood and the space, but then you realize, hey, we can do things a little bit differently. And we don't need to retrofit a big box store. I come from the brewing industry, and I've said that multiple times on this podcast, so any of our listeners know that's to be the truth. We see that a lot. We've seen over the last 20, 25, 30 years, we've seen that happen all the time in that space. Small brewery comes up, they don't make all the right decisions. After 3 to 4 or 5 years, they end up either going out of business and having to sell the business, or they get eaten up by larger facilities that are going to come in and retrofit their space. So instead of building out from the ground up, they're able to kind of retrofit the space to make it their own. Would you foresee that to be part of your model in the next, I don't know, year, 5 years, 10 years down the road?
Absolutely. We're already, looking at different locations to, one, absorb their existing building and kind of retrofit it to what we do at Crushyard. They got the pickleball courts. They got some good space that we could create into one event space and then also a kitchen. And we think that's what will make it, profitable and make sense for our company and our shareholders.
Yeah, that seems to be a common theme or thought process behind the overall growth. So how do you balance the idea of it being, it's entertainment? So it's like you mentioned having a kitchen is important, and doing the food better was the original kind of goal. How do you kind of balance those two things at Crushyard? Like, what are your mantras behind, providing the right mix of hospitality with the entertainment aspect of the pickleball facility?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know with all of our locations, pickleball, the courts fill themselves up. So it's about, and the courts fill themselves up and they monetize at a certain threshold. Where you reach that next level is going to be the food. And we think it's a good balance, right? Because for us, you play pickleball, either you're a competitive player. Once you hop off the court, maybe you want a healthy rice bowl like we have on our menu, or you want a salad wrap or something like that. We're able to balance out the experience to, one, when someone comes off the court, they're going to be, incredibly hungry. We're able to fill that need. And then two, the social players that are coming in, kind of like how you are in Topgolf, they could hang out with their friends, have a beer, have some food, and it's just a whole experience rather than just the one activity. And that's kind of how we're going to try to, balance it out and just give a full experience to our guests.
Yeah, just the mixing and matching of who you're trying to attract, right? So like you have the hardcore, it seems as though you're able to build something that attracts the hardcore pickleball players they're going to have a very high-end experience while they're on the courts, while they may run in a very strict pickleball friends group, but they're still going to have the outliers, right? They're still going to have the significant others of that friends group that aren't there to play pickleball, but they still want to be, included, right? And so I assume that's where the elevated food experience, the elevated hospitality experience kind of mixes itself in. How have you changed, or have you changed your service models and or your hospitality models from location to location to location? Is like, are they cookie cutter examples between Charleston, Orlando, and now Nashville? Or I see you're nodding, obviously, in both directions. Tell me a little bit about the differences between that and how you kind of see that evolving in the locations 4 and 5.
Yeah, that's a great question because they are different. So in Charleston, we do a go up to the counter, order your food, here's your flag number, food is delivered to you, right? That's our service model. You don't have that server coming up to your court and taking your orders. However, we do have a bartender there where you could order food, it's delivered to you at the bar, and order drinks there. Whereas in Orlando, our service model is you have that server coming up to your court, seeing what you need, taking your orders, delivering food to you. And then in Nashville, I like the approach we did in Orlando, and I'm bringing that over to Nashville. Because like I said, it's that elevated hospitality. I want to make sure these guests know that when they walk in, they're fully taken care of. It's an experience they've never seen. They're playing pickleball, they're having a beer, and then they don't got to worry about anything else because we got their backs. And I think that's what the server model does.
Yeah, it's nice. I think what I'm hearing too is what I'm hearing is that you didn't force the issue onto Charleston just because you liked the way it worked in Orlando. So knowing that there is a hybrid approach, not only within the same location, but also across different locations. So your location 4, location 5 may not mimic any of them, or you might take pieces of one or the other. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, I mean, you're totally right. Because the way we built out Charleston, our Charleston location, it's makes more sense to do come up to the counter, take your order, give you your flag. There's less space in between the courts for that, lounge seating to where a server could come up and you could eat. I mean, you could still do it, but it's not as comfortable as what it would be like in our other locations. We made sure we created that extra space in store 2 and 3, and then all the ones moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can't ask you the question about what other pieces of technology, you of course do use GoTab, within the Crushyard facilities, for combination of overall point of sale, but also a hybrid service model, mentality. But is there any other pieces of technology that you're using across locations that either you plan on, again, translating to new facilities, but also why would you try to translate for the same? I mean, obviously if it works, you want to continue to use that, but there's always an ability to kind of mix and match what that technology looks like based on what you've seen to be successful.
Yeah, so we use numerous different softwares, technologies in our facilities. With GoTab, we do plan on keeping GoTab for all of our future locations just because GoTab is a great partner with us. Very easy to work with. Shout out to Katie, our success manager. She's the best. And then we use, for our court reservation system, Court Reserve. Court Reserve is great. We'll be using them for all of our locations moving forward. And what's cool about Court Reserve is that, we don't use this part of Court Reserve, but it is something that we do plan on looking into in the future, is the integration with GoTab, and that people can just, we could charge it to their Court Reserve account through GoTab, kind of like you would in a country club. Hey, just charge it to my account. Something we haven't done yet, but we do hope that we could do something like that in the future. And then the other one that we use that we plan on bringing to our other locations is going to be Reunion. It's for an events platform made by a pickleball player, which is really cool. We previously used Triple Seat. Triple Seat was awesome. But Reunion integrates well with GoTab, integrates well with Court Reserve, which is huge for us. And then the owner, Chris, is awesome, and he's willing to pivot and do whatever we need, because we're a different type of pickleball place. Court Reserve is mostly for, Triple Seat was made for just all general events, right? But Reunion was built for a Pickleball Eatertainment facility because he had his own out in Houston.
Yeah, That's an amazing attribute to any piece of technology. I always say that there's two different types of technology out there. There's technology that was built by developers for somebody, and then there are pieces of technology that were built by operators that know how to code, right? And usually the ones that the latter are the ones that stick the strongest in those particular locations. I like to say that, GoTab is one of those as well. It's just it was built in a brewery and built in a fully functioning, very complicated space. So we work best in complicated spaces. And what you guys are building is, can be very complicated. And of course, the goal is to not make it feel complicated. And so I like the fact that you really have it focused down into what's the most important thing. And that is that experience, that overall experience of your guests, whether they are high-end pickleball or players, just group outings that are coming out, or just, your average Joe coming down the street being like, hey, this looks like it would be a good time. Where the other aspect of, and this is no secret because it's no secret because I've heard it on the radio, right? You are looking to expand in not only in a corporate level, but also on a franchisee level across, probably the country at this point. I told you the story. I live in Western Massachusetts, and I grew up in Western Massachusetts. I was back there for the holidays. I heard ads on the radio for Crushyard coming into that area and looking for franchisees. Talk to me a little bit about why you guys are choosing to go in that direction with a franchisee model in conjunction with your corporate locations as well, and what the goal is there.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to spread the product everywhere in the country. We really do think that through our learnings, the lessons, and what we built here, that we could help somebody who has this dream to build their pickleball facility create something amazing through working with Crushyard and their own vision themselves. And so we hope that we could do that throughout the country, just to spread the Crushyard name, grow, return shareholder value, but do everything the right way. Create different relationships with franchisees, support them as much as we can, and that's why we're being a lot more aggressive in our approach in this franchising, letting people know that we are now open to, helping you create something that you've always wanted to do. And that's kind of what our two franchise locations right now that are just coming up, Conway, Arkansas, and Buffalo, New York. Those are two facilities that they're already going to build it, but they wanted to do it the Crushyard way. And that's admirable. I mean, I appreciate us or them trusting us with our product and wanting to join the team and just keep growing Crushyard.
It seems like you guys are at a stage with the 3 locations, soon to be 5, that you haven't quite hit the mark of like brand recognition, right? Especially in a larger area. So obviously that is growing really quickly. And so the fact that you're getting franchisees on board based on what you've already been able to accomplish and show proof is in the pudding type of mentality, and you're not just basing it on, hey, we have a name that everybody recognizes, and so you want to open up a Crushyard in your neighborhood just because people are going to flock to it and they know it. It's the operational side. It's the mentality of the hospitality aspect of it that you've been able to prove and learn from, that really kind of catches my eye, and obviously caught the eye of at least 2 other franchisees that are coming on board as well. So kudos to you. There's no question there. That's just me.
No, I appreciate that, because we really try our best we don't want to take any shortcuts in the service of the operations. We want to make this the best product possible. And what's so cool is we have a CEO who is constantly pitting. He's a CEO that moves fast. There's no such thing as a problem. It's just snags. And that's how we're going to grow as a company. Just keep moving, keep plowing through, and we're going to create the best product possible. And I think that's why these franchisees are trusting us, because they know we're going to do whatever it takes be successful and create the best product.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Can't wait for one. I live in Indianapolis. Can't wait for you to open up one up here. And so I can actually get into it a lot more. I'm going to close it out with a very simple, like kind of a question that maybe our listeners can take home, especially if whether or not they're considering franchising a Crushyard or just expanding their own business. Like, can you give a kind of a 30-day action plan of like, if you were to consider reopening or expanding your current location today, what should you be doing as far as like the next 30 days? These are the things that you should be working on first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about scouting different locations and building that out, I mean, you want to make sure you're not getting you're not a hostage to your lease. You're always looking for a lease that works within your margin. So a rule of thumb is you want to be under $24 per square foot. That's the biggest thing. Keep your fixed costs as low as possible. Once you find a place that is in a plaza that has a lease under that amount, that has foot traffic, then it's about ramping up your marketing efforts in that new territory before you open, getting the event pipeline going. Because once you do that, then you're building so much recognition. Like what we're doing here in Nashville, we have, before we open, there's so much recognition with our brand. I mean, I came up here in February. Right now it's May, and I've just been going door to door, like all these businesses, letting them know what we're doing. We're here. Come to Crushyard. Here's an open play on us. So it's one, the local store marketing, the marketing to build your event pipeline, finding a space that is not going to hold you hostage in the lease terms. And then also making sure that if you're going to do the eatertainment, that the food is quality. There's so many eatertainment facilities that are having bad food. And if your food's not good and people are not going to buy it, you're going to really struggle trying to sell it. And that is a lot of money up front when you enter the food and beverage game. That's why, like for us, we spend the extra dollars on the quality, but we know it's going to be worth it at the end of the day, and it's proven to be worth it because people are going to want to continue to eat it. So just making sure that you have a plan to buy quality, have a great menu set up for not just, the competitive pickleball player, like the lighter options, but the more social side, those comfort meals, like, the wings, the chicken tenders, those tend to sell pretty well. Just looking at every part of the business as a whole.
Yeah, just sometimes the classics, you can't get rid of them. I remember the first place I was managing, the wings they were very distinct wings, but they ended up becoming really expensive. And we really wanted to take them off the menu and completely, never mind just raise the prices of them, because once you start raising the prices of something incrementally over the course of weeks or months, people take notice, right? It's like, oh man, what happened? And you can only blame it on your vendors and your suppliers so much. And so we wanted to just switch it up. There was a riot. There was just a giant riot. They're like, no, we'll pay whatever you want. Just put them back on the menu. We're like, fine. You can't take away what the people want when they're willing to pay for it, I guess. So yeah, just acknowledging that is, I think, is kind of key. And obviously, you guys have realized, you have to be able to cater to a wide swath of clientele in both your different service models, in what you're offering in your offerings as well. So glad to hear that you kind of acknowledge that. Also, food is just an important part of the attainment part. All right, it's in eatertainment in the space, and having good menu and having good service is going to increase dwell time and increase the reasons why people come in, but then the reasons why they stick around. And obviously you guys have acknowledged that, and you kind of hit the nail on the head with a lot of what you're doing. Joe, when can people visit your Nashville location? I know you got an opening coming up while we're recording this. By the time somebody listens to it, it might already be open. But tell everybody where they can, if you're in the Nashville area, where they can find you, And then where in Charleston, where in Orlando, and any other locations that you're willing or able to give a little bit more detail on.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be opening up May 11th here in Brentwood. It's just south of downtown Nashville, about 15 minutes. We're totally excited. I mean, 11 o'clock, we'll be having our ribbon cutting ceremony with the county and the mayor. We're so excited about it. We're open right now in Charleston, Orlando. We'll be open in Conway, Arkansas by end of summer. End of the year, we're going to be open in Buffalo, New York. And we have a ton of leads coming in for franchises, new locations, current franchisees that want to have a lot more franchises with us just because it's been, going pretty well. So we're hoping to double each year. So be on the lookout on our socials, Crushyard on Instagram. We'll have everything on there, kind of where we're going forward.
I mean, just the fact that you have franchisees that already are looking at locations 2, 3, and 4 on their own is a huge testament for anybody who's ever been through an opening or a build out knows it never goes the way you originally planned.
Oh yeah.
And so the fact that they're going through the process right now, and they already can see the things that you guys have already learned, the lessons you've learned and you've been able to instill and get ahead of with these openings, but also, hey, we hit some bumps in the road, we got through them, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, we're going to do this again is a great feeling.
No, absolutely. It's totally it. I mean, we're grateful to have them as franchisees. We just have such a great team here at Crushyard, and just grateful. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thank you.